Hello, yes, welcome back to The Songs That Changed Me. This is a series where I look at individual pieces of music that had a big impact on me as a musician, creator, or even a big impact in the way I choose to live my life. I don't think any music has actually affected me that deeply, but maybe I've repressed something. I don't know. I've repressed it. Maybe you'll learn something about music. Maybe you'll discover some new music to try. That's kind of the point of this. Today we're going to talk about the cartoon that made me play guitar. This is a true story. Do you guys know the Discworld books? I really like the Discworld books. Like Terry Pratchett Discworld books are a huge part of my life in terms of like my sense of humor. I do bits of writing every now and again, and I think the kind of Discworld humor comes through. My love of fantasy, my love of comedy. The challenge for me was being slightly dyslexic. It's really hard to, read books and remember what happens. That's just not how my brain works. For the last few years, actually, I've been really getting into the Discworld audiobooks, and I've been making a lot of progress that way. I think my parents read Truckers, Diggers, and Wings to me when I was a kid, which are Terry Pratchett books that are outside of the Discworld series. I struggled through, I think, 5 or 6 Discworld books and ended up having to read them all several times because I couldn't really keep tabs on what was going on. But there were Discworld video games where Eric Idle played Rincewind, which is wonderful, and there were also 2 Discworld animations. There was Weird Sisters and there was Soul Music. Soul Music, I cannot express the extent to which most of my drive to play music comes from the animated Soul Music. Do I need to explain Discworld? Maybe. Discworld is low fantasy, wizards, dwarves, thieves, assassins. People will start by describing the disc of Discworld, which I think is interesting but doesn't really have any effect on the story. It's a flat disc of a world. Do I make a joke about like the one we live on? There's a flat disc which everyone lives on, and it's on top of 4 elephants, and the elephants are on the back of a giant turtle called the Greater Tuin, and they're traveling through space. But it doesn't ever really come up other than for scene setting. A lot of the books take place in a city called Ankh-Morpork. Ankh-Morpork is like this grubby little dirty hole of a city. The humour of Discworld comes from fantastical situations, but there's also like commentary on capitalism. The motivation of almost every character in Discworld is to just make a buck. They want to be left alone, they want to do their own thing, they want to get on with it, but also if they could make a buck, that'd be great. I'm going to get to the music bit really quickly, but Soul Music, all you really need to know is Soul Music is about a kid called Imp who I think grows up on a farm, and he really wants to play music, so he moves to Ankh-Morpork to start playing music, and he has to join the Musicians Guild. And when he's with the Musicians Guild, he joins up with a troll who plays the drums and a dwarf that plays saxophone. He has this lyre or a harp or something that was like his cherished instrument, and he stops playing that in favor of a cursed electric guitar, which turns him into a pastiche of very well-known guitar players. This band, they're called the Band with Rocks In, and every time they play a concert, they're a slightly different band. So they start off being like Elvis-style rock and roll, then they're the Beatles for a bit, then they're kind of Jimi Hendrix-y. There's several others, and I'm not sure if they're pastiches of like specific musicians or bands, or if they're just like a mixtape of a specific genre. But the music for the animation of Soul Music is really very good and doesn't get any degree of credit. It is not well known about, and it really ought to be because it's excellent. So when I was a kid, I was really loving this world, but I couldn't access the books in the way that most people did. So I had to play the video games and enjoy the world that way, and these animated movies were also like another way to experience it. So I was kind of obsessed with Soul Music, and that was actually the driving factor for me playing guitar. like most people who like Jimi Hendrix or like the Beatles or stuff, like most people my age play guitar because of those bands they like. No. I was fascinated and obsessed with this pastiche of those popular bands, and I wanted to play guitar so I could play guitar like Imp, the fictional character. Specifically, I think for the song, I think it was called Cover Girl. Oh, I should look that up. Keith Hopwood and Phil Bush were the people who made this music in 1996. I was looking at Cover Girl. Cover Girl is the song that I particularly liked. When I started playing guitar, I was coming towards the end of my piano lessons, and something I really wanted to do was play Cover Girl. It has a piano part in it, so I was trying to learn the piano part, and my piano teacher was very politely like, "You're probably not going to be able to play that just yet." And because of that, I became like obsessed with the song, and actually not being able to play it on piano because it's hard, and I was a child, so it was hard. So being obsessed with this song, actually learning guitar, and eventually playing in blues clubs, being quite good with blues standards, playing a rock and roll song like Cover Girl on guitar, piece of cake, right? I was looking at the video to try and see if there's any information on who it's a pastiche of. I think it's just like a rock and roll pastiche, I guess. And of course, the very confusing thing about being obsessed with a song called Cover Girl is that there are many other songs called that. That was really helpful. And the thing about the late 90s is that the internet didn't work how the internet works now. So if you were trying to research something that was super, super niche, unless someone else with internet access and more knowledge than you within that niche uploaded something, how are you going to learn more stuff? It's not like now where you can Google Cover Girl soul music and the first result is the thing I want. But luckily, I had the soul music CD album, because of course I did. It's on all the platforms now, I think, so you can just go listen to it. Look, I don't know what else to say about this thing. This is one of several very nerdy reasons that I got into music in the first place. I would encourage you all to go watch soul music. I don't know how easy it is to find legally. Just saying. Yeah, all right then. Bye.